It's time for Next Step Monday as we look back on this past Sunday's sermon and jumpstart our week with a few thoughts. Here's Pastor Dave Pack.
It's good to be with you, Fremont family, on this Next Step Monday. As we look back to Mark 15, 16 through 32. Now, Pastor Dan took us through this. Really, it's an amazing passage as we continue to really hone in on Jesus' death and resurrection. So Jesus has been mocked, ridiculed. He's endured physical suffering. And therefore, there's this man, Simon, who they get to carry his cross. Now, just imagine being him. Here you are, and you're forced to take Jesus's cross. And he does literally what Jesus had already said earlier was going to be a figurative call in the disciples' life. If you remember back in chapter 8, after Peter makes the confession that Jesus is Christ, Jesus says he's going to die. And of course, Peter doesn't want anything to do with that. He rebukes Jesus. And Jesus goes on to say, well, if you want to be my disciple, you have to pick up your cross, deny yourself, and follow me. Now, I don't think necessarily this is like literally what he had in mind, Simon actually literally carrying a cross, but it is figuratively, and I think it gets to a good point in part of Pastor Dan's sermon. We by nature, we are people who like to be comfortable. At least I know I am. I like my coffee a certain way. I like my food a certain way. I like my bed a certain way. My wife likes her pillow fluffed. Like, no one has to tell me, hey, you need to start thinking about yourself and how you can be comfortable. And yet this passage reminds us, in Jesus' earlier words, that our following of him this whole idea of being comfortable, they're not going to often go hand in hand. The following Christ is sometimes going to be a life that is not going to always lend itself to our comfortability. So here's what I want us to consider and really think about very personally. When Christ asks us to forego comfort, I don't think he's talking about, hey, when you're out driving on this 100-degree day, turn the air conditioning off in your car just because I want you to be uncomfortable. No, I don't think it's that. I think here's the question. Where are we seeking out certain comforts at the expense of living out our faith in a sacrificial manner? Where is comfort kind of getting the last word over the living out of our faith? And I think that's what this passage wants us to consider. So I'd encourage us, let's think about that question this week. And as we do, I look forward to being with you the following Sunday.